Hey guys, welcome to Ragnar's Roughnecks. Today's video is a little different. For me, this is a walk down memory lane. Not long after I met my wife, I actually convinced her to move across the country and start a farm with me. And so my buddies had been playing Farm Simulator 22 for a while, and I finally picked it up and have sucked right back into it, and it's taken me right back down memory lane. We used to run Scottish Highland cattle, chickens, ducks, turkey, quail, everything. I'll put lots of pictures in here. But so we're gonna do a challenge playthrough on here, and what we're gonna do a couple of them. But the first one we're gonna do, part one, what we're doing is we're gonna see if we can make $1 million on poultry. All right, so we're gonna make $1 million trying to sell essentially eggs because they don't really have like a way to sell meat and raise meat birds in this game. But we're gonna see if we can make $1 million on eggs and what it takes to be able to do that. But we're gonna, even though the game gives you a lot of money to start with, we're gonna start as cheap as possible and see if we can do it and how long it takes. All right, I'm only gonna give myself 5 episodes to get to $1 million. If I don't get to $1 million in 5 episodes, you guys come up with something gross that I have to do on stream. So here we go. Farm Sim 22. I'm actually really excited about this. I had the new background made just for this. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so here we are. We're starting brand new career. We're going to do it on medium, which means we start with no land, but they start us with $1.5 million. And I'll tell you, I started my farm with a heck of a lot less than that. We bought our place. It was an abandoned piece of ground with a really crappy house on it for $160,000. And only the front 5 acres was fenced in and livable. And that's where we bought and moved into. Keep it fair. And since I'm in Sicily, we're going to go with the European map. I've actually never played on this map, so this might make it more difficult too. And I'm going to turn off most of my mods. I'm not going to do the coffee. I'm not going to do better contracts. Not going to do beer production. Not going to do field creator. I don't know. I'm not worried about that. The only stuff I am going to leave on, the auto load, just because I'm still not that great with the pallet forks, and you guys don't need 40 minutes of me trying to load a pallet onto a trailer. Fun fact for you guys, this mod right here, the Massey Ferguson Small Classics, this is actually the tractor I first bought. I found on Facebook Marketplace for $4,000. The tractor, trailer for it, bush hog for it, box blade. I'm trying to think, there's other stuff too. Oh, and an arm, a tiller and an arm for carrying things. I use it for hauling logs. I owned a sawmill on my property as well. I bought a $5,000 Norwood sawmill, and I actually made enough money to get off with the sawmill. I made my money back pretty quick. I was charging $40 an hour for me to run the mill, and there was an extra pickup fee if I needed to come pick up or deliver to you. All right, so here we are. We are playing on the European map, and one of the first things we're going to look for is, because we're trying to make this off of chickens, we want to make sure the field that we buy is already producing chicken feed for us. So we want wheat, barley, oat, things of those crops, and it looks like right here, number 37 is right on the money, and we have room for building stuff. So let's go ahead and buy it. I think it's funny, on the one map it's 37, on this one it's farmland 23. So there's $276,000 spent right there and then. All right. So we're giving ourselves 5 episodes to make $1 million solely off of chicken products. Now that we own the field, we're going to build some things that we need. So, start with a silo. We need water. And to support our production, we're going to also be, to support our poultry production, we're also going to be growing, running greenhouses. This one. All right, so we have 2 greenhouses, and to supplement our starting expenses, we're going to go ahead and put 2 solar panels down. They have an initial cost of 7,800, but they generate 648 euros a month, so they make up for it pretty quick. So there we go. Now we have 1,300 euro a month basically coming in just off of those. And we're gonna, since we're doing chickens, we're gonna jump in right away with the big boy and start with a coop. Right there, but we're only gonna start with one. We're trying not to spend too much money because the truth of the matter is, the more money we spend right now, the more money we have to make back, right? Our goal is to get $1 million in profit. So really we need to hit that number of, it's not just hitting the number of 2.5 million, it has to be $1 million solely from the chickens. So the money from the greenhouses can go to supplement buying feed or buying more chickens or buying another building and stuff like that, but it does not count towards our $1 million profit goal. Our equipment's just going to sit outside for now. We're going to give ourselves a little single wide trailer. That should be all of our construction for now. All right, so ready to harvest. Okay, so now we got to buy the equipment, right? We always check for discounts. Nothing really that we need. So that means we're either going to have to buy or lease it. And we're trying to stick with as small a property as possible. So since we're going to be we only need the combine and we only need the harvester for a short amount of time every year. So for now, it makes more sense to lease it than to buy it outright because our lease is going to cost us it right now just to close the deal on it. It's going to cost us almost $4,000, but we're not. But it would cost us $75,000 brand new to buy it. Okay, so now, right? I need to look at the details of it right now. 175 horsepower. Okay, 175 horsepower, 10.2 tons. All right, and luckily on the map, yep, our store is right across, so we get to run through our field of wheat. So essentially, we should be able to harvest all of this for less than $10,000 spent. And it's going to go, we're not selling it, it's going to go into the silo and it's going to go in for feed, because wheat is one of the better feeds for chicken in the game. We had, at one point on our farm, in real life, we had almost 2,000 chickens, I think. My wife went crazy with it, but we were super profitable because we would sell the eggs for a decent price. Um, I believed in being fair to everybody. Our goal was to be feeding people, not trying to make $1 billion. But what was so cool about it was we would raise and hatch, like we got our commercial brooder, everything, and we would hatch these like specialty breeds, and we'd want to go on a trip for the weekend. So once they were ready to be sold, once they were old enough to be sold, we would line up meeting people. Like if we want to go to the beach, the mountains, whatever, we would line up meeting people on the way there, and we'd make $700-800 in that day. And that was that we spent, that was our fun. Half of it was our fun money. The rest of it went back into, making sure that we had more to hatch and raise and feed. Feed is a big killer, because we didn't have anything like this. We didn't do any kind of like actual agricultural farming. We mainly just did animals, and we were having to purchase the feed. All right. Drop it into cruise control. Oh, good, we didn't miss that corner. I thought we were going to miss that corner. And obviously we're making straw right now that we can bale that up too if we want. And we might rent the equipment to do it. I just don't know how profitable it'll be. Even in real life, there's actually not a lot of money in haymaking. And it wasn't cheap. I would try to buy 50 to 60 rolls of hay at a time. And that would cost me almost $2,000. That was with them delivering it to the property, and I would unload it off their trailer. But they weren't making a ton of money on it. And it's got to be so finicky. It's not like this game where you just windrow it and boom, ready to go. The hay had to sit in the sun for 3 days. If it rained, it took longer. If you had too much moisture in your bales, mold would grow quick, and it would be ruined. Or you were a dirtbag and you sold it to people and got their animals sick. That was always something that I was very happy with the people that we would buy hay from, is I could ask them for the test results, because they would actually take it from each. They would take a sample from each harvest to the ag extension and get it tested, and we would be able to see all the mineral reports, if there was anything negative in it, how many weeds were in it, and it was great. And that's what we fed our cows. That's what we fed our goats, our horses. Do not do horses. Don't. I would rather have a celebrity level cocaine addiction than get into horses again. We had 6 at one point. And I love my wife to death, but what I should have done is said no. We brought horses from an animal rescue with us, and so most of them weren't even rideable. They were just yard ornaments that were costing me, probably at least $1,000 a month. But she loved them, and I loved her. I say I loved her like I don't love her anymore. I love that woman to death. Just don't, yeah. Stay away from horses if you can. If you're gonna start a farm, start small and start scalable. I 100% would recommend starting with chickens because you can have, if you're doing it for meat, you have an 8-week turnaround period from the time that you get them, which you can actually literally get them in the mail. We used to go to the post office and pick up any of the meat chickens that we ordered. They're called broilers. We would go pick up any of the broilers, and they would be in like a little package where they could breathe and they'd be peeping and everything like that. And the post office people loved/hated them. And we'd go pick them up, and we had tractors that were out in our field, not like tractor, but like a mobile pen out in our field, and that's where we would raise them. We would raise them out. First, we'd have them in the brooder for a little bit to keep them warm and let them grow, but once they really started feathering out and things like that, they'd go into these chicken tractors where they had feed, they had water hanging in it, and we had them on a system where we would be able to just scoot them along in rows straight up and down. And after we planted our fruit trees, we would have them go up and down in between the fruit trees. And after a couple of months of that, that's some of the healthiest ground that we had, just from the chickens scratching through it, eating the bugs, crapping all over it, and putting all those nutrients back into the soil. It was cool. Me personally, though, I loved our chickens, but my favorite chickens were my wife's thing. My favorite was our turkeys and our ducks. We don't need to run off the back of that cliff, especially in leased equipment. But yeah, start small. Start with chickens. You can actually order them to be shipped to you, or if you want to do like a straight run from Tractor Supply when they have them, or try your local feed store. If you have a local feed store around you and you're thinking about getting into homesteading, go there, support them. I'm tired of seeing these local feed stores close. Um, I loved the one that we had in our town, but they closed. They went under, mostly because a lot of farms are dying out too. And which I think is crazy. Like, we're gonna outsource all of our food production. We already outsource most of our meat. This is the crazy fact. I'm gonna get on my soapbox about this, okay? The meat packages that you see in the big box stores that say product of USA, that cow may have never breathed air in the United States. There has been legislation passed that allows them, as long as the carcass comes into the US and is then butchered here and cut into the smaller cuts here in the United States, they can label it product of USA because the processing happened here. So we have American ranchers and American farmers trying to compete in a beef market against Argentinian cattle companies, Mexican cattle companies. It just doesn't happen. All right, so our combine's full. We're gonna back up. I'm gonna lower it. I'm gonna detach it, and I did that for a reason. I mean, I'm lined up. All I gotta do is line back up behind that thing, hook it up, and keep going again. But now we can go put this in here. But yeah, it's crazy. Country of origin labeling. COOL. Look up the cool laws. And it's ridiculous because as long as it's processed here in the United States, they can label it a product of USA. So you're getting tricked into thinking you're supporting American farmers, but you're not. There we go. So we're already stocking our chicken coop up with wheat, which is great because now as soon as we have wheat in here, and I'm not even a third of the way done with the field, as soon as we have wheat in here, we're going to start buying our chickens and they're going to start producing for us because we're going to buy layers. That's the thing that we're going to do. We're going to buy layers right away. We're not going to wait and grow them out. So while that's folding in, there again, cool. Didn't crash this time, thankfully. All right, so animals, chicken coop. We don't have any animals yet, so it's not going to give us the statistics on it, apparently. Da, da, da. So let's just go ahead and buy some animals. So we have one coop. We can support up to 360 layers. $3,300 for 60 of them. We're going to get halfway there. So we have 180 now. We have 180 of layers. That's the nice part. They're producing. And you can already hear them clucking away and they're over in our field now. So now we can go into our animals and we can see, all right, so our coop is over halfway full of grain. We're going to need a bigger silo or we're going to be selling this wheat, which I think we're going to sell the wheat. I think we're going to fill that silo and we're going to store the excess. But then I think we're going to sell the rest. And once the silo's full, and once the coop is full of feed, we'll fill it the rest of the way. So we've already spent $10,000 on chickens, which that's not your cost in real life. We were selling layers for 20. We might have been selling layers for close to 40 or 50 a piece. And we're doing this ourselves instead of hiring AI help because that costs money. That cuts into our profits. Also, quick tip. Find your local beef farmers, cattle farmers, and find out if they sell beef by the quarter, half, or whole. So we weren't allowed to sell by the cut at first. We were allowed to sell quarter, half, or whole animals. Um, Go in with some friends and family, get you a half of beef, and you might pay, depending on the area, and this was 4 years ago that we were doing it, we were charging $5 a pound based on the hanging weight. So hanging weight isn't what your final weight is in meat. That is slaughtered on the hook, not completely cut up yet. We were charging $5 a pound, and people loved our prices. We were staying sold out, and it was a way for us to. We would take a cow to the butcher, and we would sell half and keep half ourselves, and we would make enough money off of that we recouped our feed costs and didn't have to pay. Our meat was essentially free. But for those of you that are, looking for ways to help support local farmers and things like that, this is how you do it. Go to them directly. Say, hey, quarter, half, whole, do you sell it by that by chance? And maybe they do. If they have a USDA processor that they work with, you actually might be able to buy it by the cut from them, which is going to cost you more. But if you can get it in bulk, and you can do that for pork, you can do that for beef, chickens. Chickens don't really work like that. We were charging $5 a pound for whole frozen chickens, and that worked out great. Your chickens are super small and easy that you can piece them out yourself, no problem. Same with our turkeys. We were doing our turkeys that way too. We were selling our turkeys whole, and we were raising heritage breeds, so they weren't the genetic jumbo giants, jumbo butterball giants and stuff that you see. We were raising red bourbon turkeys, which I should have some pictures of them. Royal Palm, which were like a silver color. And then I had some, I'm going to have to remember the name, but I have pictures of them that I'll put up in here. But I love my turkeys. We would let the turkeys free range, and we lost a few to coyotes that way. But I loved it because they'd come hang out with me. Like I'd be out, I did a lot of timber framing and carpentry on the property and built a lot of our own stuff. And so I'd be like up on the roof of the new chicken coop I was building, and the turkeys would fly up onto the roof with me, and they'd be hanging out as I'm like nailing the roof boards on. The toms did not matter though. They would be the sweetest thing in the world, but the minute that the males hit maturity, time to put them in the smoker. There wasn't a single one of them that didn't become ornery and start attacking our kid and my wife. But yeah, if you want to start out with chickens, start out small, spend the money, get yourself set up, spend the money to have a decent brooder, and you can build one even if you want. My wife was actually building them and selling them to people that we were brooding hundreds at a time. And then those tractors, if you've got just a big yard that they can go out in, because the tractors, nothing can really get into them. Raccoons will still try to get them, and you'll know it's a raccoon if it just ripped the head off and left everything else. But that's how I would do it. Start out that way. Start selling the eggs. Build a nice coop with a nice big run. And what we did is we did one of those, because we didn't have a ton of cash when we started. We did one of those rent-to-own sheds that you'll see in Georgia. They're everywhere. And we turned it into a coop. We built brooding boxes in there. We did everything. And that's how we started collecting eggs. My wife made herself like an egg apron. It looked like it had a whole bunch of little mini hand grenade pouches all over it. that's what I would do. Start small, selling eggs. If you want to try your hand at doing meat chickens, you got to come to grips with you're going to be the one killing them. It's not hard to do. It doesn't hurt them. We became pros at it very quickly, and there was a quick turnaround time that it was pretty easy to be profitable on them, especially once we were large enough that we were buying bulk chicken feed and storing it in our barn. I miss it, but my daughter was born April of 2020. We had a lot of other stuff going on, and we did too much too fast, to be 100% honest, to the point where we were drowning. We weren't really making any money. We had a really good fan base. We had a really good customer group. We had really good friends supporting us. But it was too much. We went from chickens to chickens, turkey, quail, ducks, rabbits, goats, horses, cows. Like, it was just too much all at once, and that's what caught us. So learn from my mistakes, and that's what I'm saying. Start small. Start with what you can manage, because chickens like that are really easy to manage anywhere in the country. They're relatively low cost to get started. All right, let's see if we finish up this coop now. This should just about fill us up. All right, there we go. So we're full, and we still have some left over, so we're going to go start filling the silo. Let's look at the animals. All right, grain is full. Their health. Why is their health only at 10%? That's interesting. But we're going to go ahead and buy some more. But for this last batch that we're going to do... Oh, no, I sold them. I didn't want to sell them. This last batch that we're going to do, we're going to buy the young ones that need to grow out. So now our coop is full. All right. So you can see we've spent $457,990 so far. So we've spent almost $500,000 to get started. But we have a coop full of 300 egg layers and 60 that will grow up. I think we do need the auger system for this. Alright, so we're gonna figure this out real quick. I don't think that's tall enough. The old school truck. I've always wanted a dark green truck, so that's what we're doing. Pretty sure the shop's right here. Yeah, it's on this side. So this truck can pull it, I guess, right? Truck can't even pull it. Ah, dang it. Alright, we're selling the truck. Let me tractor. We're going to start with a small Massey Ferguson. We're going to make sure that we have a front loader attachment on there. Oh, ugh, I almost got the wrong tractor. I'm a Massey Ferguson guy. The tractor I bought was a 1964 MF 135 with a Perkins diesel engine. The thing was an absolute tank that I could fix everything on. Starter went out on it. I found a guy who made them or rebuilt them. I paid him $120 for it, and then in 3 bolts and 2 wires, I had a new starter on my tractor. Had it cranking right up. Oops. I do not like driving into my crop field like that. Probably wouldn't believe me, but I could whip this equipment around in real life, no problem. I need to move this combine. I might have to move my water tank too. No, I have my plan now. I know how I'm gonna do it. See if we made the distance, if we're selling our water tank. That's got to be close enough. The struggles that y'all didn't know, this is what it takes to be a chicken farmer. There we go. Okay, so the grain's in there. How do I turn it on now? I gotta move my water tank. Alright, that worked. Yeah! We did it. That's because of y'all. We'll lie to ourselves and say it. Ugh. All right, and we only destroyed some of our wheat crop. We have a lot more though. We have a lot more. I think we're gonna end up having to get a trailer to go sell some of it. Man, I'm tempted to get a baler and bale this and sell it too. Our rows don't look too terrible either. So we have a full coop, 300 egg producing hens. We're cooking. Small land, small piece. We don't need a big, massive piece. We're keeping our expenses down. Keeping our rows relatively straight. And I like this. I like putting it in cruise control, keeping it at a relatively low speed to help control it. All right, top farming songs that I like to listen to when I'd be on my tractor, whether it was bush hogging, whatever. So I'm gonna have to go back into my playlist. So pulling up my Spotify playlist. Let's see. Trying Like the Devil by Aaron Watson. What's Left of Texas by Cody Johnson. Bloodline by Heath Sanders. Pray for Rain by Cody Johnson. Tumbleweed Town by Justin McBride. And Dance With Your Spurs On by Ned Ledoux. Those are the top ones I'll give you for now. Country music fan, you should recognize Ned Ledoux. Well, depending on your age, his father was Chris Ledoux, one of the very first cowboy country singers, like rodeo cowboy country singers of the 80s and 90s. Had some great songs just about life in general. Oh, damn. Harvester was lowered, but it wasn't on. Uh, really enjoyed his music, and now his son Ned Ledoux is a singer and musician as well. Funny story I just thought of when it comes to chickens. So my wife convinced me to go to a poultry auction that was held in a old school, like abandoned schools auditorium, like a shut down school's auditorium. And we were sitting in the back and we were listening, and I heard next item up were some silver winged ducklings. I was like, all right, cool. Like I want more ducks. I'm gonna bid on them. So I bid on them and I won, and I got all three of them, right? This is also the first time we got quail because my wife was not the most thrilled about it, except she had been wanting quail. They had quail on the auction, and so I bid on them, won the quail. But going back to the silver winged ducklings, so we go at the end to pay and pick up the birds that we had won at the auction. I think I paid like $9, and it was like no, it was 4 silver-winged ducklings. Nope, combine's full. We're gonna back up, drop that. But there's 4 silver-winged ducklings, except they weren't ducklings. They were silver duck wing chickens, which are tiny, tiny little chickens. They're like little things. And they were all roosters. And my wife started busting up laughing because she didn't realize, she thought I knew what I was buying. She didn't realize I thought I heard ducklings. And so, to her amusement, we ended up with these tiny little roosters that we never even put them in a coop. As soon as they went outside, they figured out how to get out of one of the pens, and they were just out. And they would come hang out with me all the time. They would roughhouse and fight with each other and this and that and everything else. But my favorite thing, though, is I named them my little teenage ninja mutant turtles because there was just a group of them, and unfortunately they would just start to disappear one by one. But it was the funniest thing ever because I thought I got ducklings. I thought I got baby ducks, and I came home with like little micro roosters that had all the attitude of big roosters. All right, we're almost halfway done with the field. We're doing good though. All right. Oh, it was automatically doing it. Okay. All right, that's good to know. I thought I had to get in the tractor and run the P. So that's the thing. That's what is called PTO powered, and that's a link between this knuckle at the back of the tractor and the implement that attaches to it, and it just spins. It's just a spin like a drive shaft, and the speed of your PTO is controlled by the RPM of your tractor. And so to get your implements like your bush hogs, your seeders, and a lot of your other implements that you use regularly, they're what's called PTO driven, and so they're driven by that speed. So like the auger here, because there's no power to it, so the auger there is driven specifically by the PTO of the tractor in real life. But it seems like here it doesn't need to be. Which is I'm cool with because that just means I can pull up, dump, and get going again. I got to make my mind up if I'm gonna bail all this or not. I can sell it, which would help cover the cost of new wheat seed. But there's the cost of. Luckily, it's already like this. I can just lease a baler and do it. I don't have to worry about a mower, a windrow, and all of that. I can just go right up and down these rows and bale it. I just don't know how much straw bales are really selling for, and so I don't know if leasing the baler, if I would come out ahead selling the bale, like if I would still profit enough to buy uh the seed that I need. Because I still need to get a cultivator, a seeder. Probably wouldn't hurt to fertilize the ground. All right, we hired an AI worker to go ahead and finish the field. I know I said I didn't want to do it, but we're gonna do it in a time crunch. We only have 5 episodes to do this, so we're gonna do this in a bit of a time crunch and see. And I want to check the animals and see how the feed. So they barely hit the feed. Health's going up. Reproduction's going up. Let's see if we have any eggs back here yet. So the eggs will appear. Yep. So eggs will appear on the pallet right here. So there's 49 eggs there. Okay, so here you go. You can see how that's spinning right there? That's the knuckle that attaches to the PTO that is that silver rod right there in the center. How much is this to lease? 4 grand to lease. Don't make silage. Well, hang on. All right, so we leased the square baler for 1100. So that should balance out because we talked about the solar panels should be bringing in about 1300 a month. All right, unfold baler, lower the pickup, turn on cruise control. That is too fast. Oh, probably help if I turned it on. I'm sorry, but that looks like a turd coming out. Apparently, this guy's combine's full. Actually, yeah, this will probably be what I need to do. I'll hire AI to do the bailing. Fill me up. That silo full. All right. We're at the point where we're selling it now. All right. Need a trailer now. Well, let's compare costs. Let's compare costs. $11,500. How big is this? It's not even that big of a trailer. We'll go 23,000 versus if we just build another silo, 18,000. Or we go up and buy the $24,000 one. This way, this saves us money in the long run because we're not going to make as much money on it right now, but we'll be able to I'm going to shoot myself in the foot for doing this. Hang on. Okay. This is how we're going to do it. I wasn't wanting to spend another 119,000 or 117,000, whatever we just ended up spending, but we will fill it and we will use it, and it's going to be easier to fill. I can get rid of that auger. Look under animals. We're going to buy the bigger water tank. Did we put a water tank back down? I don't think we did. We did not put a water tank back down. Okay. Now there's a reason I put it there, because it's mainly just going to be used for filling my greenhouses, for growing my vegetables. And I'll be able to go in and do this. Try not to ruin the neighbor's corn. Oop, oop, oop. We hit some of the neighbor's corn. All right, Bill. All right, now we're going to pay a nice, big, heavy water bill. I think this comes out to like $600 per fill. Is that combine stopped again? Yes. All right, so yeah, €605 for that. We'll use the feed out of that other smaller silo, but then after that, I think we're gonna sell it, because this is gonna work out better for us in the long run. We'll be able to fill, and do everything off of this. I cannot advocate enough the importance of supporting local farmers, and to give a shout out to my European farmer friends. It was really cool to see what you guys did in protest of some of the crazy things that these governments are trying to put on the people who literally make the food that keep our country alive, keep our countries alive. Like, I absolutely loved seeing everything in Paris, uh, how y'all were just tearing them up about it. I really enjoyed that. Good on you. And that's coming from somebody who runs his mouth a lot about the French, if I'm honest. So, good work. Keep it up. Keep protecting this way of life. That's the important part. Keep protecting this way of life. I wholeheartedly believe the next major conflict we have in the world that involves the entire world is going to be based on food. Go in here and manage it. I like doing uh, tomatoes and strawberries. Lettuce takes a lot more water, and you can sell directly from here. You don't have to take it, but if you take it yourself, you make I think it's 40% more money. Water was the hardest thing for us on our property. We didn't realize it when we bought it because we had never lived on a well before, how crappy of an area we were in for having to be on a well. We had the pump motor blow out on us, burn out on us because there wasn't enough water. We ended up putting in a second well, and they had to go over 500 feet deep to get it in. So that was $20,000. Um, it's just one of those things. Keeping my eye on that combine for when they stop again. And if you are much better at this game than me, please drop some tips in the comments. I'm learning, and if you help me get to 1 million, um, we'll figure out something to do for you. If your tip helps me get to $1 million in profit from my chickens, I'll figure something out. We might give away a free game or something. I'm not sure yet.
So we have filled this tank 4 times now. All right, and there we go. First greenhouse is actually full. Combine's not full yet, but that field's getting smaller and smaller. AI does much prettier straight rows than I do. We see our egg pallet? Still not a ton of eggs on there yet. We'll get there though. All right, harvester's full. Which I think it's crazy. The little dump station for it is literally right there. Like unload this water, and then I'll run over there. Unload that harvester, and then we'll get them back going again. It's so start out with uh, a wheat field, or some type of crop that actually feeds our chickens, because we're so loaded on food right now that we could probably buy a second coop and fill it. What I'm nervous about is starting to overgrow our chickens. Well, let's see. So they've barely put a dent in that, but they're producing 180. How many eggs are on this pallet? We probably still only have like 40. Oh, there's 180 eggs on there. All right, nice. Keep it up, girls. Damn it. I thought we were going to do it. I thought that was going to be the time where we backed up straight. Oh! It's like a nice, relaxing game for me. I really enjoy it. And it's so nostalgic for me, too. I miss it. Yet, I'm here in Sicily right now, 250 yards away from the beach. I enjoy that, too. My kids love it, too. But there are plenty of days that I do miss having a farm. And some days I feel guilty about getting rid of it too. All right, we're going to leave that there. We're going to get back to baling. Ah, you got to watch out. If you hit those square bales, you got to watch out. We're going to have a short turnaround time to get all these bales off of here, recultivate it, fertilize it, and replant for wheat. First time I've seen that little warning in the top right where it said they have almost a nearly full grain tank. All right, I'm gonna finish this row, and I go unload the combine. Square bales are looking good though. get this baler done though, so we can get rid of this baler and quit paying the lease on it. There's a rhythm in it. We are cruising. Our bales are looking good. Doesn't look like we have any more wheat. Oh, they got one patch over there still. And some down there. Oh, I missed a whole slew of that because I was looking at the combine. Whatever. We'll get it. We'll clean it up in a little bit. I had our tractor. It was a 1964 Massey Ferguson Perkins diesel engine, and had no top to it, no rollover protection system to it, no cab to it. The seat kind of sucked. I bought Bluetooth, like construction headphones, so that I can wear them on the tractor, and I'd listen. I'd listen to books. I listened to so many books while I was out there on the tractor, and I would use bush hogs to cut roads. I would go out and I had a sawmill on my property, so I'd go out and find good trees to bring down and turn into boards to then use for construction projects on the property. We tried to be as relatively self-sufficient as possible. All right, once we get down at the end of this, it looks like they're done. There's that little bit, there's a little strip we missed. See, this is where windrow helps because it would take like 3 or 4 of these rows and turn them into one. And that if we hit them with a round baler, we would. But we're trying to stay, relatively inexpensive so we can profit $1 million with our poultry empire. Ragnar's Roost Poultry. Ragnar's Roost. That's the name of this farm. I like it. Every episode now I'm going to start, welcome to the Roost. If you've been here before, you know why that's funny. I was supposed to go get rid of that AI because I'm paying them and they're just sitting there. Oh, they left. Alright, so first we're going to go and refill the coop. Alright, coop is now topped off. Trying to see if we had any vegetable pallets yet. Nope. But now we get to get rid, once we dump the rest of this wheat in here, we get to get rid of this equipment because we've got this on a lease as well. And that's the big thing. That's like the number one thing I took away when I went to a conference that was specifically for veterans that were getting into farming. It was, if you use it 1 month out of the year and it's $100 and $200, $300, $400, $500,000, don't buy it. Don't buy it till you know you need it. Borrow it, rent it, do whatever you got to do. But a payment on a combine that sits 10 months out of the year makes 0 sense when you're starting out. All right, leased items. All right, $2,100 in vehicle leasing costs between the two. I'm cool with that. Now we just got to get this baler going a little bit faster. All right, guys. So that's where I'm going to wrap it here. It's almost a 2 hour long episode. So with this, the challenge is again, we're trying to $1 million profit just off of poultry. So that's really eggs and potentially selling chickens. One of the things that we really want to focus on through this is now we are being able to be self-sufficient with this one wheat field. We have a huge silo that's full. We have another spare silo full. The coop is full. We have 360 chickens, 300 of which are egg layers, and they're already laying. We're using the greenhouses to supplement the income. We've got a couple solar panels to boost that as well. So this is where we're at with it right now. Uh, I look forward to doing episode 2 with you guys. Appreciate you coming by. And as always, welcome to the Roughnecks.